Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen with Fairy Garden Bath, and I make videos all about how to make bath products and different body products. And today's video, we are going to be making bath bombs, and specifically one of my kind of specialty bombs, my Hawaiian Plumeria bombs, which look like this. So I'm going to show you how I go about that, and let's get started. So first thing I'm going to be needing is baking soda. So let's get that weighed up. One of those. Perfect. And I'm using a sifter just to make sure there's no big lumps or clumps. And this was pretty good. It was pretty fine. So no big clumps there. We are good. Just move that out of the way. And I'm going to be doing citric acid last. So next I am going to be doing my arrowroot powder. I always seem to splatter it. Okay. There we go. And I put coconut milk powder in my bath bombs. So get that weighed up. There we go. Now the next one is SLSA powder. I'm just going to put my mask on because it tends to kind of puff up and it can irritate your nose and your throat. So try your very best not to breathe it in when you're using it. Trying not to let it puff up too much. It does tend to though. Get that in there. And a little bit of cream of tartar. And the arrowroot powder and the cream of tartar I put in mainly to help the bath bombs harden really nice so that they're not crumbly at all. The coconut milk powder I like to put in because it makes the bath water nice and soft, and it just makes everything feel very lovely in the bath. And the SLSA makes bubbles, makes foam. So let's give this a stir. Again, I'm trying not to breathe that in. If you have a stand mixer, it makes it much easier to blend everything, but unfortunately not in the budget. One day I'll get one, maybe, hopefully. So I'll give that a good stir, make sure everything is nice and mixed together really, really well. Now I think that's about good. Now I've already got my liquid ingredients weighed out, measured out I should say, and ready to go. So this is coconut oil and Polysorbate 80. And for coconut oil, I basically just use this one here, the Kirkland organic coconut oil. So let's put that in. And for scent, I'm using Plumeria, and this one's from Windy Point. It's their Plumeria fragrance oil. Let's give that in there as well. Just 1 second. So let's get this mixed up. And once we have this incorporated really well, then I will add in my citric acid. And we do the citric acid last, just to avoid the reaction and have it start bubbling and foaming ahead of time. Something I learned from other YouTube videos, because I used to just mix everything, including the citric acid, and every time I would add in my wet ingredients, it would bubble and foam, and you know, you don't really want that ahead of time. So a couple of videos I watched, they put it at the end. Like, well, that makes a lot more sense. There we go, that's pretty good. So now let's add our citric acid. Whoops, hang on, my scale went to sleep. Oh, look at that. Right on the money. Okay, so let's get this mixed in really, really well. Now, if I was doing any colors, I would have did that at the very, very, very beginning. I would have added it to the baking soda and then mix that, get the color all incorporated first, and then add all the other dry ingredients. But since my Plumeria bombs are mainly white, I don't have to worry about that right now. I do the yellow coloring after they're dry, and then I paint that on separately. Okay, I think we are good. Just check our mixture here. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. You want it to kind of, you see how it kind of holds its shape there? You know, it crumbles if you pull it apart, but if you press it, it should hold its shape, and you should be able to drop it and have it stay in a ball. One of the hardest things about bath bombs is trying to get the consistency right, because if it's too wet, it's gonna be mushy, and if you're using a mold, it's gonna expand out of the mold. Or, you know, if you do circle ones, when you lay them out to dry, the bottom might flatten because it's too wet and it smooshes. But if it's too dry, it might just crumble and won't hold its shape at all. I've had bath bombs I thought were fine, and then the next day, after letting them dry for a day, they just completely crumbled apart into dust. So it's one of those things that you just kind of have to do it and keep playing with it until you get your own kind of rhythm, I guess. Oops. Gotta weigh this first. Okay, so let's weigh out enough for one bath bomb. How big are these ones? 80. There we go. And this mold I got off Etsy. I'm not entirely sure what the mold is made out of. I'd have to look it up again. But you're just gonna fill it up as much as possible. Smoosh it in really good. I already made the mistake. I pressed too hard a little while back, and I actually cracked it a little bit, so I have to be really careful not to press too hard, because I don't want it to crack anymore. This is my only Plumeria mold I have right now. I should probably investigate, or invest in, I should say, maybe a couple more. Alrighty, let's get him out of the mold. And there we go. We have one. Oh, you know what? I don't like this guy. He's falling apart. So I think I need to add more moisture. So bear with me for a minute. I'm just gonna go grab my spray bottle, fill it up with some water. This is the best way. The best way to add more liquid to your mixture is a spray bottle. Because you can just give it a couple sprays, give it a mix. If you dump a bunch of water in, you might dump too much, and then once it's too wet, you can kind of save it by adding more baking soda, but you want to try to avoid that at all costs. I have actually done that where I've made a batch way too wet and I just added some more baking soda to it, and it kind of saved the batch, and it still worked out okay. Okay, so that's a little bit better, I think. Let's give it a try. Oh, my scale went to sleep again. Okay. Now we're just gonna pour this right in. If you're looking for unique molds, Etsy is an excellent place to look. They have tons of different sellers that have all kinds of molds. Pretty much almost anything you're looking for you can find on there. Probably the longest part of doing these kind of bath bombs is just getting it into the mold. Okay, that's pretty good. Oops, I was gonna pop it out there. Don't want that. All right, let's see how we did. Much better. Much, much better. Here, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can really move my camera to show you, but yeah, it looks pretty good. It's kind of popping up a little bit there. Let's just flatten that out. Alrighty, let's do another one. Go. Now I'm not gonna do the whole batch because, like I said with the shower steamer video, that would make a very long and very boring video. So I'm just gonna do a couple, and then I will maybe, I don't know if I'll fast forward or just, I'll finish up the batch and then I'll show you what they look like when I'm all done. Because I don't think anybody just wants to sit there and watch me make mold up bath bombs. Not the best entertainment value. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people do want to see. But in any case, I'm just going to do a couple. Alrighty, let's see how we did. Perfect. He turned out perfect. Here, let's see if I can show you these guys without wrecking everything. Not really. Okay, let's just put you back. I'll show you at the end when I'm done everything, how they look. All right, so I'm gonna finish this up. And when I'm all done with the whole batch, I'll show you a close-up of how they all look. And then after that, I have to let them sit for 24 hours to cure. So tomorrow, I will show you how I paint them. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then I will be back in a jiffy to show you how they look. All right, here they are. So you can see there's a couple here that are cracking. Can't really rescue them anymore because they're already starting to dry. But most of them turned out pretty good. A couple over here. I wanted to mention one of the things I found with doing bath bombs like this in molds is they eventually start to stick. Now, I don't know if you can see in there, but in the cracks there's all bath bomb stuff stuck in the mold. And so that's kind of why I'm giving up, because I just don't feel like fighting with it anymore, because they were sticking to the mold and not coming out very nice. So I still have, you know, I don't know, this much bath bomb mixture left. Probably would have made 4 or 5 more bombs, but I'm tired, it's late. If I was going to rate this bath bombing on a scale of 1 to 10 for being finicky, this one probably would have got about an 8. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's really dry in the house, I'm not sure, but the bath bombs just, it was really finicky. They kept cracking. I'm hoping they dry okay and I don't get a whole bunch more that crack, because then I'll have to make another batch. But most of them look promising, so we will wait and see for how they turn out tomorrow. If anyone out there has any tips and tricks on, you know, how to avoid the cracking. I thought it was because the mixture is too dry, but I sprayed my mixture down 2 or 3 times while I was making the bombs to keep it moist, and still getting the cracks. But you know, that guy looks pretty good. That guy looks pretty good. So I don't know, just a couple. I don't know why they're cracking. But that is Hawaiian Plumeria Bath Bombs. I will be painting them tomorrow after they dry, and I'll show you what they look like when they're all done. And maybe I'll even do a demo and see if it floats or not. I think they float, but we can test that out tomorrow as well. So we will see you tomorrow. Alrighty, it is the next day, and we are going to paint some bath bombs. So most of them look pretty good. I got a couple that cracked, but for the most part, we did pretty good with these ones. So I've already got my mixture done up. So basically all I did is I put some of my yellow dye, and now it looks orange, but when you add it to water, it turns yellow. And this is a water-soluble dye, so I'm mixing it with water. Now, I have heard that when you're painting, you're supposed to use isopropyl alcohol so that you don't cause a reaction on the bath bombs. But I found with the water-soluble dye, it doesn't dissolve the dye. The dye just kind of floats on top and it won't mix in. So in this specific case, I have to use water. But all I do is I go very, very lightly. I don't put a lot on the brush. And I just very gently paint the yellow on. So if you have using a water-soluble dye, you're probably gonna have to use water to paint. Otherwise, it's not gonna mix into the isopropyl alcohol. There. Just like that. Let's do another one. Which one can you see really good on this one here? This is one of the ones that's cracked. But that's okay. I mean, you can see there it's cracked. It's still a good bath bomb. A lot of times with the cracked ones, I'll just save them for myself, or I'll give them to friends, or I'll even give them away as bonus gifts for orders, for Etsy orders. Usually they end up just being ones that I use for personal use. Just because even when I give them away, I don't really like to give away an inferior product. Like I like it to be a good representation of what my products look like. So I'm just going to get these all painted up. And then at the very end, I can show you what they all look like when I've got them all finished. And maybe we'll even do a demo. We'll see how these guys do. I think they're gonna float. I know in the past I did a video and it floated. But one of those things, you never really know for sure. It's one of the issues I've always kind of had with bath bombs, is making them float. I'm starting to wonder if I recently started using Polysorbate 80 in my bath bombs. I didn't for a long time because I was using water soluble dyes. And then you don't really have to use the Polysorbate 80 then. But I decided to use some different kind of dyes. I have some lakes now and some micas. And in those cases, you definitely want to use Polysorbate 80 because otherwise you're gonna get a ring around the bathtub and you might stain your skin whatever color the bath bomb is, purple or blue or whatever the case may be. And I definitely do not want that to happen to anybody. So I've started adding Polysorbate 80 and I'm wondering if that is maybe why my bath bombs have started to float now. Because for the longest time I couldn't get them to float. They would always sink. Or it kind of vary, like sometimes they float, sometimes they wouldn't float, and I couldn't figure out why. But I'm wondering, that could be it. And sometimes I've heard like it has to do with the shape of the bomb. If you make the circle ones, I've seen where you like poke holes as you're molding it so that there's extra air pockets to make it float. I don't do the circle molds though, so can't really do that with these. But yeah, so there is some pretty little Plumeria Bath Bombs. That's kind of what they look like once they're finished. I'm gonna get these all painted up, and then when I'm done, I'll show you, and yeah, maybe we'll do a demo. Stay tuned. Alrighty, here they are done. I just realized that in the first little bit of the painting video, I had my dishwasher going. So if you heard some rumblings in the background, that was the dishwasher. So there are, there's close up, there's one that's cracked, that guy's cracked. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with them. I think they look okay. Okay, so let's grab one. I got a bucket of warm water. Let's see what happens. Well, we got some bubbles, but I don't think he's floating. But that's okay. Still getting lots of bubbles, lots of foam. You don't get any of the yellow color with this. There's so little yellow on the bath bomb that it's not going to show up in the water. Yeah, he's bubbling pretty good. So that's the Hawaiian Plumeria Bath Bombs. I hope you liked the video. And like I mentioned, if you have any tips or tricks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or if you have questions for me. I'm more than happy to answer. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and or subscribe would be awesome. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye.